Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to our video tutorial on working out what the hell this piece of pseudocode is. So, I have this piece of pseudocode and I don't know how it works. I know to work out how something works, I need to do a desk check. So, the first thing I do, and I've blacked these out for you, so I'm now going to unblack them out for you and tell you they say find max. So basically, the first thing I need to do is have a scroll through and go, okay, what are my variables here that I need to keep track of? Let max equal element 1. So I've got this thing called max. Now, as soon as I see this thing called element 1, and element is referenced later on, because it's got a brackets after it, either with a number or with I as a variable, I know I'm going to have an array. I know that array is going to be called element, and it has a number of indexes in it. Now, is that a number? Is that a letter? I don't really know yet. Really don't know. But look, I'm going to keep on reading and then take a guess. So let max index equal 1. So I've also got max as a variable. Now I've got this equal sign here and it's called max index. And that's equaling 1. I've got I as a variable as well. Repeat if element, that's my array referenced again. Max is I've already got that. Max equals, okay. I think I've got I've already got I as a variable. Num elements in the array. Display the highest value is at position. Now, I think it's about finding the highest value in an array. If I'm looking at highest, yeah, I can kind of get that. Now, the biggest hint about what something actually does is looking at what it displays or what it outputs. So if you look at that first, you can go, oh, like I don't really have a clue what this is doing so far, but it's saying the highest value is at position something. Okay, it's looking at values and working out which one's the highest. Now, if I do names isn't necessarily going to get me the highest value. I could try it and I'd probably get halfway through and go, ooh, what? Okay, so if you get through a desk check and you've used data, like sample data for an array and it's not working, change your sample data. I'm kind of taking a stab in the dark. If it's looking at values and I know that it's comparing them here, I'm going to do numbers just for the sake of it. And it's trying to find the highest and what position it's at. So I'm going to do a bit of a sneaky number. And I'm going to make sure I plant in my sample data my highest value in the middle. I'll give myself 3 rounds to see what happens because I know it's a repeat until, so it's going to loop. I'm going to give myself 3 rounds to see if I can work out how it works. Number of elements in an array is obviously another variable. I mean, I haven't declared it, but it's the same logic. Number of elements and in my array. I know, based on what I just talked about before, there's an array called element. This is my sample for my array called element. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. 6 things in it. Okay, so I'm just going to note that actually now. Okay, so let max equal element brackets 1. Now, when I reference that array, I put the name first and then the index that I want. So if I've written element brackets 1, I'm going to be pulling out the first index in an array called element. So I'm going to be pulling out the value 2. So max is the first element in the array, which is 2. Let max index equal 1. Not really sure what that does yet, but I'm just going to let it tell me what a value to assign to it. Let I equal 2. It's a bit weird. I's only ever equaled 1 in the past, but sure, okay, it's a different pseudocode. I'll just go with it. I need to loop this a couple of times to work out how it works. A repeat until, so repeat if element I, now this is where I'm going to have to do a bit of planning, element I, now what's I currently equal to? 2. So element 2, which is 1, 2, 4. So if this is saying if 4, element 2, which is 4, is greater than max. Now, what's max equal to? 2. Element 4 is greater than 2. Yeah, that's the case. Remember, that then means I execute whatever's under that. Let max, so this, equal element I. Element I. element, what's I equal to? 2. Let max equal 4. Interesting. Let max index equal I. So max index is 2. So interesting. What's this doing? Not still too really sure, but I'm going to keep going and see if it becomes clear in a minute. And if let I equal I plus 1. So I equals itself plus 1, so I is now equal to 3. I keep on repeating these steps until I, because remember, this is a repeat until. So a while loop has a condition at the top, and you would have been doing a bit of that. A repeat until has a condition at the end. So I do this and then I check, and then I keep on checking at the end. I keep on doing this until I is greater than the number of elements in the array. So 3 isn't greater than 6, so I keep on doing this. Okay, let's go back up. If I, repeat. If element I, so element, what's I now equal to? 3. So now we're not on 5 anymore. Change that to yellow. So we're on element 3, which is 5. If 5 is greater than max, what's max? 4, then, which it is, so then I execute this. Let max equal element I, so element 3. So max is now equal to, so if I go element I is 3, element 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so max is now 5. Let max index equal I, 3. So I started with the first index, and then replaced the max value when a number was bigger than it, then replaced a max value again when a number was bigger than it. And then I end that and go I equals I plus 1. Then I go on to the, this is interesting. I go on to the next thing. Still not 100% sure, so I'm going to keep going. I is greater than the number of elements in the arrays, what controls my repetition, and 4 isn't greater. I repeat until 4 is greater than the number of elements in the array, so it's not, so I go again. So if element I is now equal to 4. So if element 4, which now if I look at my array, is 10. If 10 is greater than max, is 10 greater than max? Yeah, it is. Okay. Let max equal element I, so element I, which is element 4. So again, 10 was greater than 5, so I've replaced it, and let max index equal I, max index equal 4. I think it's trying to find the biggest number, but I'm not really too sure, so I'm going to keep going. And if let I equal I plus 1, 5, until I is greater than the number of elements in the array. Now 5 isn't greater than 6, so I keep going. Okay, now repeat. If element I, so now I'm on element I, which is 5, element 5. Element 5 is greater than, is greater than max. So element 5 is 8. Is 8 greater than whatever's in max? Now max is currently 10. I is not greater. So 8 is not. Apologies. 8 is not greater than max. So remember, in an if statement, if it's not, I skip to the else. In this case, there is no else, so I actually bypass all of this. Let I equal I plus 1. I equals 6. Now 6 isn't greater than 6, it's equal to. If this said greater or equal to, then I'd stop, but it says greater than. So I'm actually going to go around again and repeat. If element I, now I is equal to 6, which is this bad boy here. Yeah. Let max equal, if element I is 7, greater than max. Now max is still 10. 7 or element 6 isn't greater than 10, so I actually don't execute these two lines, and then I go down and just go I equals I plus 1, 7. Now I keep on repeating this, and I've been repeating the instruction until I was greater than the number of elements in the array. I is now 7, which is greater than 6, so I break out of this repeat loop. I don't go around again, because 7 greater than 6, I repeat until 7 is greater than, now 7 is greater than 6. I keep on repeating until my I is greater than the number of elements, so I'm out. display the highest value. Let's just go down here. The highest value is 10 at position 4. Interesting. Let's have a look at this. The highest value is 10 at position 4. Interesting. So I think from doing this desk check and looking at this pseudocode, I can ascertain that this pseudocode and the logic here is looking through the different numbers in the array, reporting back on the highest, and telling me what position it's at. It's comparing different indexes in the array and seeing if you can work out which number is the highest. Now, repeat until is a do until loop, and I think I've got that. So it keeps on looking until it gets to the end of the array. That makes sense. And it's found that this is the biggest value and it sits at position 4. I could do some other, like if I put 10 at the start, I'm sure it will come back because the logic makes sense. And if I spent a couple of minutes doing it, it could say the highest value is 10 at position 1 if I put it in the first index. I'm sure it'll work fine. However, I'm interested at why I set the max to be the first element to start with. There is going to be bonus points this week if you can identify why do I set the first element in the array to be the maximum. It was 2, it was clearly not the maximum. Why does my code have to set the first element in the array to be the maximum initially? Okay, and that's it, guys. That is how I find this. That's how I do a desk check. That's how I work out what this array is doing. I can ascertain that this pseudocode and this logic and this repeat until loop will look at an array and find the highest value in it. Okay, and that's it.